Pain, blues, and agony are the three things I'm going to help you avoid with this video, not just on your exam, but in the real world as well, maybe in your lab, because EIGRP, it's got a pesky little default behavior. It's called auto-summarization. And auto-summarization occurs when routes are advertised across classful network boundaries. That is, when you're advertising one major network number out an interface that belongs to another major network number. Just exactly what we have here, and it's what I have for you in the lab as well. Now, this doesn't sound all that bad. You know, hey, summarization. We like summarization. We do when you and I, the network admins, are performing it. That's when we really like it. When we don't like it is when EIGRP does some of it automatically, because that's where this particular issue comes in. Because discontiguous networks, you probably have those in your network. You know, depending on the number you're using, depending on the size of the network. All a discontiguous network is a subnet of the same major network number, or subnets, I should say, that are separated by another network number, again, like what we have here. We have subnets of the major network number 20000 separated by a different major network number 172.12.00. So, you know, it doesn't really look all that bad, but what you end up with is a real issue because of equal cost load sharing, which is also on by default. Because with EIGRP's default auto-summarization left on, router 1 in this case is going to get two advertisements for the 20000/8 network. It's going to get one from router 2, it's going to get one from router 3. You combine that with equal cost load sharing, which is also on by default, and what you end up with is a mess. You know, at least half the packets are going to go the wrong way. You're going to end up with undeliverable packets. You're going to end up with timeouts, and it just ends up being a real mess. And I've proved it because I have this network already configured for us. And I went ahead and did it because we know how to use the network command. We know how to use loopback interfaces. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the config here. And nothing hidden, I assure you. But let's go up to router 3. It's router 2. Let's go all the way up to the top. There's router 2. Da, da, da. And you can see router EIGRP 100. We got 3 network statements. And we have auto summary. Now, this is one thing I do want to warn you about. And likely it's especially for the exam. Because your mind's eye can play a trick on you here. Because what's the first command we usually enter right after we enter router EIGRP and then the AS number? We type in no auto summary. And the thing is, you get so used to seeing that in the config that when you look at a config later, or you look at show IP protocols where it usually says auto summarization is off, well, here it's on, but your mind's eye can see it and say, oh, okay, I've seen that a million times. This is no auto summary. Just take an extra second, take another glance at it, and make sure it says no auto summary or auto summary. Here is router 3, and again, nothing tricky here. There's the EIGRP config, and on router 1 it's even shorter because I've got a network statement and auto summary. So right now we have auto summary on all 3 routers. So let's go up to router 1 and take a look, and this is what we end up with. We end up with an auto-summarized route, and I also want to show you what that looks like in show IP protocols. And where you will see it is right here under automatic summarization enabled. And here it's saying, see, it's also auto-summarizing 172.12.00/16 as advertised to the loopbacks. Well, we don't really care about that, but what we do care about right now is that the network number 20000/8 is a result of automatic summarization for serial 0/1/0, which of course is the 172.12.123.0/24 network. So that proves automatic summarization is on right there. And we've also kind of got proof because up on router 1, we've got these auto-summarized routes. And you may not get this result every single time from a ping of an address, but when you start seeing U's for undeliverable and timeouts, there's some kind of issue with the packet not getting where it should, but also you're getting 2 results, so 2 different things are happening. And that's the kind of thing we end up with auto-summarization. Now, you can get some of your packets through sometimes. You might see an exclamation point in there as well. You could run it 5 times, get 5, not exactly the same results, but still you're not getting 100%. That's what we're looking for. You might get 20% on some of them, 40 on the others. So we've got quite a mess, and we know what's causing it. But let me ask you this. Now, in the real world, you and I are very likely going to have auto summarization turned off on all 3 of these routers, so we're not going to care. But it could be an exam question, job interview question. What if I told you or asked you, I want you to disable auto summarization only where it's absolutely necessary in order to resolve this problem? That's the horse of a different color we've heard about, right? Okay, so instead of doing it on all 3, which ones do we have to do it on? Well, it's really easy to say router 1. And that was my first thought years ago when I first saw this in action. And it's just like, well, router 1 has the summarized routes. That's where you need to disable it. Actually, that's where you don't need to disable it, because by the time router 1 gets those routes, the summarization has already taken effect. It's already taken place. We need to disable auto summarization where the summarization is actually taking place, and that is on routers 2 and 3. So again, let's prove that. Let's go down to router 2, and we'll do a no auto, short for no auto summarization. Note that the neighbor adjacency resynced, and on previous iOSs, as many of you know who have seen my videos on YouTube and here on Udemy and other sites, in older iOSs it would go down. That's not going to, the exam is not going to get into exam versions, but on the latest and the greatest, you don't actually lose the neighbor adjacency, it's just resynced. So let's go to router 3 and do the same thing. Do a no auto, we see the resync summary configured, and in this case we're getting rid of the summary. So let's go up to router 1 and first run our neighbor command. You can see with that uptime that while the adjacency to router 3 has been up much longer than the one to router 2 at this point, then we did not lose our adjacencies here when I did no auto summary on 2 and 3. And now there we go. And notice the summary routes are gone. That's what we expect. The summary routes are gone, and now we're getting the individual subnets. And one of the addresses we pinged previously, we're going to be able to ping them all. I picked on router 3's loopbacks, so I get tired of picking on router 2's loopbacks. But that's the great thing about auto summarization. You just spot where the routes are actually being summarized and turn it off there. That's the minimum. But again, what we usually see, of course, in deployments out in the real world is auto summarization is turned off everywhere. So that is auto summarization in a nutshell. And now I want to lead you into a discussion of manual summarization. And now you're thinking or saying out loud, geez, you spent the last 8 minutes 25 seconds here telling me that auto summarization is terrible and it's usually always turned off and it can lead to problems with suboptimal routing or not getting our routing done at all. When we're using discontiguous networks. All that is true, but I believe I also threw in that summarization is a great thing when used at the proper points in your network. This is the thing. You want to be the one deciding where the summarization takes place in your network, not the routing protocol. We're not going to leave it to automatics and defaults and that kind of stuff. You and I, the network admins, are going to decide deterministically, like that word, deterministically, instead of just letting it happen automatically. And here are a couple of reasons that we really do like auto summarization. The first one, the routing tables themselves are smaller, and that makes the entire routing process faster. You know, what I've always said is I like my routing tables complete yet concise. I want them to be complete because I don't want them shrunk down to the point where I can't get to some places I need to get to, but I do want them to be concise. And there's a bit of a domino effect here because when the routing tables are smaller, that makes the entire routing process faster. And because of that, since the tables are smaller, the hit to the CPU from the routing process is also lessened. The routing updates themselves are smaller. Not exactly a huge security point here, but you do get to hide your more specific network numbers with manual summarization. So sometimes if an intruder happens to pick up a routing update packet and it's summarized, they don't automatically know every single network number that's in that summary. They could probably work on it, especially if they knew binary math, because me. But you get the point. It doesn't make it easy. I'm not saying this is a huge security point, but it is helpful. The impact of flapping links on the rest of the network, it's actually lessened because we don't have routes leaving and entering and leaving and entering the table when that happens, because the summary will still be there. And also the overall number of EIGRP queries can be lessened. So really I put these in order from the biggest benefits to the partial benefits. And what we're going to do in the next video is actually perform some manual summarization. I've got to set up a new lab. So I'm going to do that right now. We're going to see this in action on the live equipment. And while I'm doing that, I want you to get something to write with, because I want you to practice this. And just a quick word here on that. Don't hit that stop button. I'm not done. It's really, really important, even when you have binary down, even when you have your hex conversions down, write some of this stuff out on occasion. I know there are shortcuts. I know there are. But just write the whole thing out every once in a while, and then when you're taking your exam, you're so much better at it, because frankly, you're so much fresher at it, and that goes for anything to do with binary. Having said that, I will see you on the next video.